With Monster Hunter Wilds launching mere days after us posting this video, you can get 12% off the standard and 13% off the deluxe version of the game over at new friend of the channel Games Planet. They're an official distributor of the publisher, and if you're planning on picking up the game on PC, you can support our channel by using the link in the description and adding our code, the Co-op Hunters, when you purchase.
For the past 3 years, February has been a non-stop barrage of game releases, both single-player and co-op titles. You'd think we'd be used to it by now, and yet every time it rolls around, it still feels like a big sucker punch through the face. From indies like Sworn and Big Helmet Heroes to the massive launch of Monster Hunter Wilds. We even got our hands on Split Fiction and Elden Ring Night Rain, two of our most anticipated games. 2025 is off to a stellar start, and there's plenty more on the horizon, so sit back and relax while we go through all the co-op games that came out last month, what co-op games are coming out in the next month, and any co-op news in between. It's the Co-op Monthly for February. Let's get started.
Alright folks, let's dive into the review roundup, where we're sneaking in a couple of last-minute January gems before we fully embrace February. First up is the headliners. It released on the 30th of last month and hit the ground running, quite literally, with a very positive user ratings after a couple thousand entries. I say running because the premise sets you in a quarantine New York, where you're a journalist chronicling events as you run around the Big Apple, taking pictures of the fallout. It's very much a game focused around humor and making your own fun, so if you have the right group, it could be for you. The other late January title I wanted to shout out was Flyknight, an old-school first-person action title you can play in up to 4-player online co-op. It's gotten great feedback by users on Steam with an overwhelmingly positive rating after 4,000 plus ratings. Those ratings call out the awesome RuneScape vibes and the Dark Souls difficulty. It's clocking in at around 5 hours for just $6, so yeah, it's definitely shot up on our 2025 co-op wishlist. Moving back into February, let's cover the early access launch of Sworn. This one has 4-player online co-op and is what you're thinking as you watch it. That's Hades, but with co-op. Its setting puts you up against a corrupted Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, which sounds epic and must be great too, with over 1,000 players rating it at a solid, very positive rating. We really wanted to dive into this one, but our schedule didn't allow it. Luckily for us, the plan is for a quick turnaround to the 1.0, and we will definitely be there at the full launch to give you our thoughts. Also hitting shelves on the 6th was Big Helmet Heroes, a 3D beat-em-up adventure with 2-player local co-op. Critics gave it a so-so 68 on OpenCritic, but Steam users are more enthusiastic, with a very positive rating from a few hundred reviews. We gave it a spin, and yeah, we're somewhere in the middle too. It's not perfect, but the combat is fun and flashy, great for some mindless fun. And let's face it, sometimes you just want to switch off and bonk some goblins on the head, and Big Helmet Heroes delivers on that front. Picture this, Animal Crossing visuals, but with the gameplay of an action survival game. Sounds wild, right? Well, that's Longvinter. It's an open world sandbox where you can team up with up to 100 players on a dedicated server. You've got all the usual survival suspects, farming, crafting, cooking, hunting. Honestly though, we're kind of on the fence with this one. Steam users are giving it a mostly positive nod, so if it piques your interest, grab your crew and dive in, and hey, if you've given it a go, drop your thoughts in the comments. We're launching this video a couple of days early to give ourselves a little breathing room before the launch of Monster Hunter Wilds, so we don't have reviews to round up for Darkest Mine yet, but let's still cover that one real quick here. Darkest Mine is a fast-paced 20-minute session roguelite platformer with RPG elements where you battle through shadowy caves, choosing from a vast array of abilities and weapons to forge unique expeditions. Looks super cute and unique, it has 2-player local co-op, and it's a title high on our 2025 co-op backlog. And of course, we end the month with the release of Monster Hunter Wilds, and to no one's surprise, it's looking like an early Game of the Year contender, garnering an 89 on OpenCritic, which ties it at the top of the leaderboard for the year with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I've already watched way too many reviews myself, but I can tell you the general sentiment shared among critics is this is still going to be an amazing entry in the series, but they might have streamlined a little bit too much, making for a slightly shorter and easier game. I don't mind that personally, it means I can finally try a second weapon outside of my beloved insect glaive, and the changes made to making this a more cooperative experience with your friends will hopefully be well worth it. We'll be dropping a how-to guide to get you and your group up and running on release day, and our thoughts of the title should be coming in the next week or two. Happy hunting, friends!
March is not letting up with plenty of indies and another big co-op release, so let's take a look. A mere week after Monster Hunter Wilds comes out, we have the release of Split Fiction coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC on March 6th. There might not be a lot of overlap between those two releases, but just know your boys are eating good. Like It Takes Two, you can expect another thrilling co-op experience featuring both local and online modes. Friend Pass is also coming back, and now it supports crossplay, meaning you only need one copy across any platform to play with a friend. Alongside all the major outlets, we too got our hands on the title at a preview event in LA. Here's your boys posting up looking dope. Go watch our preview to get our full impressions, but I'll just say this, Split Fiction is more It Takes Two, but dialed up to 11. It feels like a current gen title in all the best ways, and it's also a little bit more challenging than the previous Haze-like games. Stay tuned for our full review around launch time. That same day, we have the release of Slime Heroes coming to Steam on March 6th. Take on the role of slimes in 2-player local and online co-op as you slash your way through hordes of enemies, level up, and solve puzzles. There's a cool skill system here that lets you come up with your own abilities that can also combo with your co-op partner. The entire game can be played in co-op with an easy drop-in, drop-out system, so definitely keep an eye on this one if it piques your interest. Out on the 13th, we have Sedap, a culinary adventure. This is a co-op cooking game similar to Overcooked, but looking to switch things up a bit by adding some combat and exploration to the mix. You play as either Som the cook or Gon the hunter. Your combined efforts of cooking and hunting will keep your food truck business afloat as you create some Southeast Asian dishes. I think this looks pretty incredible. I love the premise and the art style, and we're both keen to check it out. Sedap features 2-player co-op both online and locally. Be sure to add this to your wishlist to keep up with the title. Towards the end of the month, we have the release of Killing Floor 3. This is the third installment of the horror co-op shooter franchise and features 6-player online co-op. The game held a recent closed beta, which gave us a good look at the gameplay and some impressions too. Critics seem pretty positive overall, despite some reports of players experiencing issues with the build. We're definitely curious about this one ourselves and look forward to checking it out on all consoles bar the Switch come March 25th. And the last release of the month is Gal Guardian Servants of the Dark out on the 27th. This is a 2-player local co-op Metroidvania where you play as 2 different characters, each with their own unique weapons and movesets. It's the second Gal Guardians game. I actually played a little of the first one and enjoyed my brief time with it. It's very anime if you can't tell, so if you're into that, look forward to its release on all consoles late next month. Moving on to our news segment, let's kick things off with a couple news updates on released titles. Hyper Light Breaker launched onto early access last month, and we already have a pretty detailed roadmap showing us what to expect from the game in the next 2 months. One update already went live, adding a new player character, and it looks like we can expect the first major update titled Buried Below sometime in April. Sea of Thieves is celebrating its 15th season with the new Wild Things update. This update is focused around the wilder side of pirate life, like taking on new mutated megalodons, which do look terrifying. There's plenty of new updates like a new reputation cap and new fishing and raid voyages too. Dying Light 2 just got a new roguelite mode called Tower Raid that sounds super interesting. Instead of playing as Aiden, you and 3 friends select unique character classes with their own progression trees. It reminds me of the Division 2's roguelite mode, but the change to unique character class makes it sound even better. Definitely keen to check this out, so let us know your thoughts in the comments below if you're enjoying this new mode.
I'll take the mic for now and cover updates we received on upcoming titles, starting with Begone Beast. Not to toot my own horn, but I kinda predicted the delay of Begone Beast's early access release date in the last monthly, a reminder that you not only get great content, but visions of the future here at The Bros, so consider subscribing for my next prediction. I don't know what it is though. In all seriousness, it's sad to hear the delay, but always best to push it back and start a game off on the right foot. You only get one first impression. As we speak, Steam's Next Fest is well underway, and their local co-op fest happened in the middle of February, so we're a bit overloaded with demos to play, and you might be feeling that too. So here's a handful of titles we think could be worth checking out the demo of. Thank me in the comments when you get a chance. Ritual Party is overcooked if instead your group's goal wasn't just to impersonate Carmi, but to summon Cthulhu before getting caught by the cops. That is a crazy premise, but it looks like a ton of fun in co-op. We already talked about Sedap, a culinary adventure earlier, as its release is imminent, but if you want to check it out for yourself, try the demo that's currently available on Steam. Dune Crawl is an online co-op action-adventure game where players take on the roles of desert-faring privateers, riding and battling giant crabs. We played the short demo and love what we experienced, and you can too with the demo on Steam, or just check out our preview that covered that demo. Join Enid, Ryder, and Dayan on a quest to reclaim the Forgotten Fragments. Explore hundreds of beautifully crafted pixel art levels, playable in both a single-player campaign and a dedicated two-player co-op campaign. Monaco 2 is a co-op heist game where you're going to need to work together using characters' unique abilities to rob the city blind. This looks very unique, like honestly all of these demos. I think we did a good job of gathering together some cool titles, so add it to your wishlist, add all of these to your wishlist, and give them all a try now. We also got some gameplay overview trailers for a handful of games, but let's start with Bro Venture, the Wild Co-op. Co-op's in the name, so you know our ears perked up when we saw this trailer. The overview shows the unique blend of vampire survival combat with survival tropes of camp building and resource gathering. Put that all under a tremendous art direction and you have us sold. No release date yet for this one, but I've strategically planned it to follow up that demo block because yeah, this too has a demo ready for you to play today. Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, got a beefy 5-minute overview trailer and a May 21st release date. This is one of those very ambitious do-everything games where you can take on different jobs, customize your character, build a house, dungeon crawl if you wanted to, and you can do it all with up to 4 friends in online co-op. It's also got a Little Brother-esque local co-op mode for 2 players to help alleviate any challenges with the combat, but it's not a very deep mode. The more I watched, the more I saw the vision and appreciated its looks. There's way too much to cover here though, so if you're interested, check out that trailer and add it to the wishlist. In the ramp up to a truly wild release window here at the end of February that's going to go all the way through the end of May, tons of devs have reached out to outlets for previews, including us, but we've already talked about Split Fiction. As much as I would like to continue talking about that preview, you're probably tired of it. So let's talk about a couple of other previews, starting with Fellowship. Fellowship is a 4-player online co-op dungeon adventure that's goal is to distill the MMO experience into only the best part, the raid-like dungeons. IGN's Jonathan Bolding went hands-on with it and came away largely positive, praising the class and boss design. It sounds technically deep and endlessly replayable in the right way, so be sure to read or watch their preview, and if you want to play the game right now, you can, as it's currently in an open playtest that doesn't end until March 3rd. The other big preview cycle that had all the outlets raging was for none other than Elden Ring Night Reign, as it also received its release date of May 30th this year and had its first closed beta 2 weeks ago. I've watched a healthy helping of preview coverage and it's coming up all positive, with many skeptics seemingly now all in on the unique roguelike loop the devs have created. But unfortunately for me, those playtimes on the East Coast were kind of terrible, so I'll turn it over to Gabe, who was able to jump into the one play session that wasn't assigned when we would have been sleeping.
That's right, dude. I did get to play a couple short hours of Night Reign with some randoms online. My immediate impressions are that this will be a blast with friends. They're really leaning into co-op here. I played as Recluse, the magic class, and it was a ton of fun to attack from range and support the team with my super that debuffs enemies and also let us heal on hits. There's still a lot we don't know, so I'm hoping they do another beta before its release in May.
Closing out the news updates on upcoming titles, we got the final release date for Dune Awakening, a multiplayer survival title with MMO-like vibes that lets you try to weather the toughest planet I know, Arrakis. It's now slated to drop on May 20th and looks like a huge undertaking, which is the only reason I can explain why I'm not as excited for this as I should be. In theory, this was made for Gabe and I, big Dune fans here, but it looks intimidatingly large, and with Night Reign now releasing only 10 days later, it's hard to say we're going to find the time to play this. But still, I'm hoping the devs have harnessed the desert power we all know and love and drop a banger later this year. At least I thought that would be the end of this news block, but the day I'm finalizing this video is the day IGN and Xbox teamed up to deliver an ID at Xbox that is chock full of indie co-op news that I felt too bad to skip. So here's a fun little rapid fire session for you. Jumpship is a co-op first-person shooter where you can live out your spacefaring adventure with up to 4 friends online. We learned here that it's headed into early access this summer. Revenge of the Savage Planet also sets you in space, but with a much goofier and lighthearted tone. They doubled down their May release window with a firm date on the 8th. 33 Immortals is a highly anticipated roguelike where you take on raid-like challenges with a team of 33 other players. We played it, we loved it, and it's coming to early access next month on the 18th. Sign us up. We got a new gameplay trailer for Ratatan, the spiritual successor to Patapon. It's a rhythm-based side-scroller that looks fantastic and has 4-player online co-op. And finally, we also got a new gameplay trailer for Outbound, a chill open-world adventure where you and your friends can hop into your trusty camper vans and make the land your own.
To wrap up our news segment, let's take a look at all the new game announcements we got this month. Cloudheim is an upcoming 4-player online co-op RPG with some survival crafting mechanics. It feels like these survival crafting games are a dime a dozen, but credit to Cloudheim, the visuals and combat look pretty impressive. It has a very Breath of the Wild look to it, and I'm intrigued by the whole vaguely Nordic setting, as the game is set in a post-Ragnarok world. No release date other than sometime in 2025, so be sure to add this to your wishlist to keep up with the title. Up next, we have Shipping Claws vs. the Brainioids. It's an upcoming title that blends third-person action with real-time strategy. You'll command your army through the strategic command view and then fight alongside them as Ship and Claws in 2-player co-op supporting both online and local modes. No release date yet, but it's slated for all consoles bar the Switch. And for all the 90s kids watching, we have the announcement of Samurai Pizza Cat's Blast from the Past. This is a local co-op side-scrolling action RPG platformer based on the cult classic anime from the 90s. I never watched this show myself, but I love the hand-drawn art direction here and the over-the-top anime scenes. The trailer didn't show off co-op, but the Steam page claims it'll feature local co-op, so be sure to add it to your wishlist for more news on the game.
Alright everyone, that is the monthly for February. We are so excited to be getting our hands on both Monster Hunter Wilds and Split Fiction in the coming days, so if you want to be the first to know about our thoughts, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can see it the moment it drops. This is the time of year that Gabe and I do our best impersonation of full-time YouTubers, but here's my healthy reminder that we are not. We do this for fun, and if you appreciate all the work we put in, consider joining our Patreon for tons of benefits, or using that Monster Hunter code we mentioned at the beginning of the video. Either way, we appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Co-op Bros.